Hello, everybody, and welcome to another great episode of the You Good podcast. My name is Rob, and thank you for tuning in once again. I appreciate all of my fans, listeners. If you have not yet, please like and subscribe. Go to my YouTube page at Rob Hip, and you can just put that into YouTube. It'll pull up, or you can put in You Good podcast with Rob. It'll also pull that up, or you just pull my whole name, which is Rob, and then Hippleewitz, which is my last name. You'll be able to pull up my YouTube for the videos. Also, you can go on Instagram at you_good_podcast. If you'd like to see some of my posts during the course of the week, definitely tune in. Like I said, I'm doing this for the people. I'm doing this for all the people that are out there struggling with mental health, and some people that might be thinking about getting into just trying to help others. Because this is about us and just trying to be helpful to other people. Hopefully, some other people around the world might find this inspiring, hearing my stories about myself, and then some other people I have on here as well. I had the pleasure not too long ago, I believe that was the last video I did, of interviewing my brother in reference to mental health in the military. So that was very interesting. Please go to YouTube channel and check that out. That'll be a good video, especially if you have any sons or daughters that are considering entering into the military. He's in the Navy. But it's just an aspect of just the military in general, right? It kind of gives you an overview of expectations in the military, especially if you plan on going in the Navy or onto submarines or anything like that. Once again, just thank you for tuning in and coming back, and we appreciate you here. And I'm hoping you're having a wonderful day. I'm just happy I've had a chance to record this, and I'm on to another day and on to some bigger and better things with this podcast. And I hope this grows and grows and grows, and we can start to help each other. Please reach out at any point in time if you need to at yougood695@gmail. Like I said, you can hit me on Instagram at you_good_podcast at the Instagram as well. All right. Once again, like I said, thank you for tuning in, and we're gonna get into some things today because I am also an entrepreneur. I own a business called Grit Services, which is a mental health services business that I have in Baltimore. On top of me also doing this podcast, which is in reference to mental health. So I'm definitely for the people in the community. A lot of people in Baltimore know of me in reference to that. Some of the kids know me by Mr. H because of my last name. I work also in the school system, and I work at some other facilities in reference to mental health with kids and adults. So in that realm, I've been doing this for about 15 years, and I've been around in a lot of facilities. So anybody that does that type of work, we greatly appreciate you. We are well needed as a people, but we thank you for your work because it's not easy, but it definitely is fulfilling. Also, I have a license now to practice mental health services in the state of Maryland. So we're gonna, like I said, we're working on some things, and we're progressing, and we're just, like I said, we're for the community, and we're helping out. So once again, thank you for everybody who sends me their well wishes in reference to me being an entrepreneur and expanding and doing some other things. Thank you so much for your support. And so, this once again is an episode we're going to talk about being an entrepreneur, and sometimes the pressure that we put on ourselves, and sometimes the things that we may do, and the chances that we take, because at the end of the day, you take a chance being an entrepreneur because you don't really know if your business is going to be successful. So you take a chance of being an entrepreneur. And sometimes you do it out of the love, out of the passion for something. Some people do it for the money, but it all depends on what you're looking to get out of it. But just be mindful of that. How much are you willing to sacrifice of yourself to be success, or what you deem success? So just be mindful and be careful of that, because you don't want to technically, as they say, sell your soul to the devil for what you deem success or what you see. In this time of COVID-19 and these last couple of years, a lot of people have ventured out on their own, and congratulations to you if your business has been successful, if you've been able to invest, if you've been able to dive into cryptocurrency or NFTs or whatever it happens to be. I'm kind of familiar with all those things. If you've started a business and you are thriving, congratulations to you. But that's not always the case. So for those of you who are still working on that, congratulations to you for even getting out there and starting a business, because that's a wonderful thing as well. Just as entrepreneurs and just as business people, we just have to keep going and keep striving to be better. So just some of the things in reference to that, you just have to make sure that you are being consistent in reference to being in business. Being consistent is definitely one of the keys, or one of the biggest keys, because that's the thing. So, I'm trying to be as consistent as I can as possible with these videos and rolling this stuff out. You'll see my posts and such on Instagram, like I said, on YouTube. Just, trying to make sure that we keep this going. Also, the clarity of your intentions for being in business. Make sure that people understand why you're in business. What is this for? What are you doing and why are you doing this? I have been in the business of mental health, like I said, for the last 15 years, and I've worked for several different facilities. So at some point in time, I just said, you know what, I can branch off. I can do this because I understand the business, and I want to be a help. I want to be someone that people can look up to or look towards and say, you know what, he was able to do this, or he was able to mention these, or he was able to help us out with some mental health concerns that we had. I am not a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a counselor or anything of that nature, and I don't necessarily do therapy, but I have all of those people that surround me in those businesses. So in my business, all of those people will be part of. I simply am trying to be the catalyst that provides that for the community. So inside of that service that I provide will be those things. So people will be able to come and get some of their mental health services, mental health needs serviced through those services that I will provide. So I know you're gonna have to edit all this stuff out, but putting tremendous stress on yourself, which is something that I was in here talking to my daughter before we started filming, and she says, you know what, I believe that you put a lot of stress on yourself. So that's one of the biggest things. So that's what we're gonna kind of dive into. As an entrepreneur, you tend to put a lot of stress on yourself. I put tremendous amounts of stress on myself. Sometimes unnecessary stress, because you want to be at the end of the road. You want to be profitable. You want to be successful. You want to be in the limelight, or whatever it is that you're seeking for as far as your business. You want that to come instantly. You want that to be like a microwave. You want to put it on 5 minutes, and at the end, you have this business that's just doing everything and great, and you're on Instagram and you're living a life. But that's not that's not the case. What I've learned over the years, and I've tried to start several businesses and been in the process of being an entrepreneur, and I've done this and I've done that, is once again, as I mentioned, consistency is again, and it's time. Nobody is an overnight success. Nobody is an overnight success. Some people, it takes 40 years to be a success. You know what I'm saying? 40 years. 40 years some people have been in business until they become successful. And that's people that you even look at today. I remember even looking at an article and talking about, let's just say, DJ Khaled. DJ Khaled said, I turned 40 before I had any money, or 40 before I was really successful. And he's been in the business for quite a while. So you put this unnecessary pressure on yourself. Just take your time. It will come. Take your time. And I'm telling you this because I have to tell myself this. Like, take your time. It will come. It's going to be, sometimes it's going to take long strides. Sometimes it's going to be baby steps. But you have to understand that it's just a process of keep going, of keep motivated. As the late great Nipsey Hussle said, it's a marathon. And it continues. So you have to always remember that. Business ventures and life and everything, it's a marathon. So you have to do that. You have to follow that in your footsteps and remember, like, look, it's not going to happen over a day. It's not a race, and I'm not trying to outpace this person or outdo that person. It is a marathon. So you have to make sure that you are running it accordingly, and you have to set your tone and set your pace and breathe right, because all that happens during the course of a marathon, and you have to kind of get in your mind and say, okay, well, look, that's where I need to be. This is where I'm at, and these are the steps that I need to take to get to that point. Don't overexert yourself, and like I said, be mindful of the chances and the sacrifices that you're willing to make, and don't let it be a detriment or a cost to you or your family. Because unfortunately, in these times, people want to be successful so much they are willing to sacrifice themselves. So be mindful of that, and hopefully that's not the case for you. Because you don't want to cause hurt, harm, or sever ties with people that truly love you and that you truly love. So be mindful of that. Success is the key, I guess, but it's not necessarily always the best thing. And the measure of success is really, everybody has a different measure of success. So to some people, success is not necessarily monetary. It can be the love or the respect or the understanding or the wisdom or the knowledge that you might gain or just, knowing that your family is good. That's the thing, man. I strive for success in these businesses and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, when I go home or I have these conversations with my children, then that's what the best thing is. That's the best thing that's happening. Are those particular times when my kids tell me that they love me, when my wife tells me that she loves me, we can just spend time together. That's what's important, because that's definitely a measure of success. Now, you want your kids to be happy, and you want them to have everything. You want them to be spoiled, but we always put this monetary value on everything, as opposed to saying, you know what, my success doesn't necessarily have to be all the money that I bring in. It can be based on, how people feel about me, and how people respect me, and how people love me, and how I love people. So that's definitely something that you want to put as part of your success measure. You want to put that on your scale of how successful you really are. Everybody has dreams of being a millionaire and a billionaire, but as I've learned over time, talking with and looking at interviews and things of that nature, everybody with money is not happy. So be mindful of that. So as Biggie once said, more money and more problems. So just be mindful of that. As you're going through these steps and you're trying to get, like I said, to that finish line, to that next point, just be mindful of the chances and the things that you're willing to do in order to get to where you feel like you need to get to. Just be, continue to be a good person, and you don't want to jeopardize who you are as a person in order to get to what you feel like the measure of success will be. Because this is all about us being respectful and loving people. This is not about us being hurtful or harmful, because those things put a weight on your mental health. When you have to walk around angry or mad or upset all the time because you feel like I'm not at the point where I want to be in my life, then that definitely is a detriment to other people, because you carry that weight. You carry that on your shoulders, and people can see that. People can feel that, because everybody has an aura. Everybody has a vibe that they put off, and you can sense those, and everybody has energy. And everybody pretty much does it. You can feel that energy when you walk into a room. I consider myself to be an energy person. I can feel rooms and people, and who has good energy, who has bad energy. I can feel that on people. And when you have that, or when you put off those auras, and it's not a good thing, people sense that about you. So be mindful of that. Be mindful of the energy that you are consuming yourself with, and that also is what you put out. It's almost like the old adage, you are what you eat. But what you consume, what you take in, the things that you take in as value, what you listen to, what you read, the people that you're around, all that stuff is energy, and it starts to formulate around you and in your mind. So if you're listening to crazy stuff, or everything that you listen to is about robbing and raping and doing all types of crazy stuff, that's the type of energy that you're going to have. But if you're somebody that's listening to investing and being mindful and understanding and wisdom and knowledge, then that's the type of energy you're going to have. But be mindful of all that, because all that seeps into it. And this is what we're talking about, because this is all about mental health. So if we're taking care of this, just the way that you work out and you run and you lift weights and you do those things for your physical, you have to do those same things. You have to read and absorb information and knowledge for your mental as well. So being in a good mental state and a good mental health is not always about if you're having serious issues, schizophrenia, stress, or anxiety, or any of that. A lot of those things come from what we surround ourselves with. If you were a good, wholesome person and all of a sudden you put bad people around you, guess what you're going to end up being? Unless you walk away from those situations or walk away from those people. But a lot of times, if they are your friend and your family, you absorb their energy. So just be mindful of that. Be mindful of the fact that you can absorb people's energy. I tell people that all the time. You got to be mindful of who you're with and who you're around, because that energy puts off something that you can absorb. You don't want to do that. You want to be a good energy to people so they can absorb your energy. And like I said, if you're in a good mental state and you're good, and you're a good person, and you're constantly doing good things, that stuff will feed back, and people will be able to pick up on that. And that's what we want. We want to have that energy that people absorb of our own, that helps them along with what they're doing. We talk a lot about mental health in different realms and different aspects on this channel. So there's some things there. So as I mentioned before, just be mindful of what you are willing to sacrifice, whom you are willing to sacrifice, and how much you are willing to sacrifice. Like I said, you do not want to put yourself in a predicament, or a loved one in a predicament, or a family member in a predicament that you cannot get yourself out of, just for what is deemed success, because that will later end up being a falsehood, or something that you see as like almost like it wasn't worth the trouble. It wasn't worth what we went through. It wasn't worth what happened. It wasn't worth what we did. It wasn't worth what happened to that particular person. It wasn't worth what we had gone through. You don't want that. You want to be able to be someone that people can look up to and have much respect for, and are able to bounce things off of. You kind of want to be that go-to person to say, well, look, I'm having some issues with this, or I'm having some trouble with that. Let me go to Rob. Let me go to so-and-so. Let me talk to this person, because they have knowledge. They have understanding of what's going on and what I need, just information-wise. So you want to be able to be that go-to person. You don't want to be the person that people run away from. And in business, you definitely want to be knowledgeable about what you're doing. So as I mentioned, entrepreneurs, just be mindful of what you're doing. Be mindful of what your goals are. Goal setting is a great thing. Definitely visualize who you want to be and what you want to be in the future. As I listen to all these entrepreneurs, as I listen to all these successful people, that is the main thing. They say, look, you have to see yourself being successful. You have to see that other side of the road. You have to see that other end of this situation that you're at. You have to visualize that you are there. You have to visualize that you are rich, that you are successful, that you are profitable, that you're just a dope person, that you're just a good person, because all that comes along with it. You know what I mean? All that comes along with it. All of that comes along with it. It's not just about the money. It's not just about the fame. It's not just about the cause. It's about, success is measured on a couple of different things. Because the more that you get, there should be more that you give back. You should be willing to give back to other people. You should be willing to give to yourself, because that's what I want to do. As I start to get, I want to be able to give, because that's what the true measure of success is, being able to give back. And whether that be monetary or information or whatever it happens to be, if I can put somebody in a different position that they may have not been able to get to. If I know somebody that's able to get them, then I do that all the time. I met a young man the other day named Gordon. Gordon, hopefully you catch this episode. He's in the process of finishing up with his undergrad and going into grad school, and going to be a psychologist or psychiatrist. So I told him I would put him in touch with some of the people that I know. And this is just a young man that I just met in the process of me going to Home Depot. So I didn't forget about you, young brother, and I will definitely have some of my people reach out to you in reference to what we talked about at that point in time. It's just about being a good person and giving back and reaching out. So that's what we were talking about today. Well, as I mentioned before, myself and my daughter were having this conversation today about pressure. So the pressure that I believe that I put on myself can sometimes be a little overwhelming, to be honest with you. And entrepreneurs and people that are just, in general, I think people can understand that. So when you constantly put pressure on yourself, it can definitely kind of overwhelm you. So just be mindful of that, because in that overwhelming, you can consider yourself not enough, and then it can kind of start to a downward spiral of negative thoughts and things of that nature. So if you feel that start to come on, if you feel like I'm putting this constant pressure on myself to be successful or to get to that point or to be this person, just be mindful that you can never get to that point or be that person that you want to be if you are beating yourself up and damaging yourself by constantly having thoughts of not being enough, because you don't want to consider yourself to not be enough. So you want to be mindful of that. So just the pressure is going to be there, and it's a natural feeling that you have as an entrepreneur. But just be mindful that in being an entrepreneur or someone that puts an abundance of pressure on yourself, the expectation that you may have for yourself might not necessarily be the expectation of others. And sometimes we thrive off of what we consider or what we think expectations of other people will be of us. And then we put that additional pressure on ourselves. So try to be mindful of that and try to be good to yourself. So eat well, sleep well. Do some take some time to meditate and write down your thoughts. Write them down. I struggle with that myself now, always writing down my thoughts. Write down your thoughts, and they won't seem so overwhelming, because then you'll have an outlet for them, and you won't feel like everything has to just be something that you remember. So as I go through these things and I mention these are things that I need to work on myself as well, because I'm in no way perfect. So I'm on the same path and the same road as many of you are. So I just try to just kind of give my 2 cents on it, and hopefully it's a help to a lot of people out there. But try not to be so hard on yourself. Try to be more mindful. When you get a chance, you sit down and you meditate and write everything down. Write your ideas down, write your thoughts, write your fears down. Write down your fears, because that will help you to see what you may be fearful of, and it will help you to overcome it. I just want to thank everybody for tuning in today. This was something that was just on my mind, and I felt like it was a great way to kind of start off 2022. So once again, you_good_ podcast and Instagram, yougood695@gmail, Rob Hipowitz on YouTube if you want to continue watching the videos. And thank you. Well, as I mentioned before, myself and my daughter were having this conversation today about pressure. So the pressure that I believe that I put on myself can sometimes be a little overwhelming, to be honest with you. And entrepreneurs and people that are just, in general, I think people can understand that. So when you constantly put pressure on yourself, it can definitely kind of overwhelm you. So just be mindful of that, because in that overwhelming, you can consider yourself not enough, and then it can kind of start to a downward spiral of negative thoughts and things of that nature. So if you feel that start to come on, if you feel like I'm putting this constant pressure on myself to be successful or to get to that point or to be this person, just be mindful that you can never get to that point or be that person that you want to be if you are beating yourself up and damaging yourself by constantly having thoughts of not being enough, because you don't want to consider yourself to not be enough. So you want to be mindful of that. So just the pressure is going to be there, and it's a natural feeling that you have as an entrepreneur. But just be mindful that in being an entrepreneur or someone that puts an abundance of pressure on yourself, the expectation that you may have for yourself might not necessarily be the expectation of others. And sometimes we thrive off of what we consider or what we think expectations of other people will be of us. and then we put that additional pressure on ourselves. So try to be mindful of that and try to be good to yourself. So eat well, sleep well. Do some take some time to meditate and write down your thoughts. Write them down. I struggle with that myself now. Was writing down my thoughts. Write down your thoughts, and they won't seem so overwhelming, because then you'll have an outlet for them, and you won't feel like everything has to just be something that you remember. So as I go through these things and I mention these are things that I need to work on myself as well, because I'm in no way perfect. So I'm on the same path and the same road as many of you are. So I just try to just kind of give my 2 cents on it, and hopefully it's a help to a lot of people out there. But try not to be so hard on yourself. Try to be more mindful. When you get a chance, you sit down and you meditate and write everything down. Write your ideas down, write your thoughts, write your fears down. Write down your fears, because that will help you to see what you may be fearful of, and it will help you to overcome it. I just want to thank everybody for tuning in today. This was something that was just on my mind, and I felt like it was a great way to kind of start off 2022. So once again, you_good_ podcast and Instagram, yougood695@gmail, Rob Hipowitz on YouTube if you want to continue watching the videos. And thank you.